Okay. We're just gonna be reading our slides, right? Our own slides.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, I'm Braden Blodgett,
Hi, and I'm Jennifer Mendez.
and we're going to be doing our PowerPoint on anti-animal testing for medicine, transplants, vaccines, and cosmetics. So one of the main reasons that we are anti-animal testing is because of the way that they are kept captive and killed during testing. Every year, roughly 110 million of varying species of animals are subjected to painful tests. A majority of them are killed after testing, and when they aren't being killed, they're kept in captivity in cold and crowded, overpopulated cages, often being infected with chemicals and diseases for testing. According to the Humane Society International, animals used in experiments are commonly subjected to things such as force feeding, food and water deprivation, inflictions of burns and other wounds just to study the healing process, and the infliction of pain to study its effects and remedies, as well as killing by carbon dioxide asphyxiation, neck breathing, decapitation, or other means. Another main reason is that most substances that are tested aren't actually used. A quote by Dr. McGee in 2013 states that the truth is that 94% of tests or drugs that pass animal and non-animal preclinical trials aren't even used and fail in human tests. And according to neurologist Aisha Akhtar, over 100 stroke drugs that were effective when tested on animals have failed in humans, and over 85 HIV vaccines failed in humans after working well in non-human primates. And in addition to this, most vaccine testing can take up to 10 to 15 years. A vast majority of them aren't even used, and the lives of animals being used in testing are simply wasted, whereas alternatives could be sought out prior to testing and save the lives of these millions of animals. Another main reason is because of how expensive animal testing is. It's commonly known to be more expensive than its alternatives, and it's in best interest to use these to save the lives of all of these animals. A couple of these quotes I'm going to read support that, such as one saying that more than 16 billion of taxpayer money is spent on animal experimentation by the US government each year. Another one looks at three different tests used in animal trials. In chromosome aberrations, animal tests cost $30,000, whereas a vitro test, an alternative without using animal experimentation, was only 20,000 US dollars. For sister chromatin exchange, animal tests were 22,000, whereas a vitro test was 8,000. For an unscheduled DNA synthesis, an animal test was 32 grand, whereas a vitro test was 11,000 US dollars. Given what we already just went over about success rates in animal tests to human tests, if we were to switch completely to human tests or just non-animal tests in general, a lot of money being wasted on these tests would be put to better use, and thousands and if not millions of lives of animals would be saved. And you can look here at the number of animal experimentations on this graph used in a year. It reaches up to the millions, and if we're spending or using all of these tests with animal trials, think of all of the dollars being put to waste.
Yes. So, not only are they extremely expensive, but these trials and tests are unreliable because at the end of the day, animals are not humans. In several statistics, it was shown that using human volunteers for testing versus animals was way more successful. Cruelty Free International provided the following statistics of results comparing animal versus human testing. So one of the quotes states, crude skin allergy tests in guinea pigs and mice only predict human reactions 72% and 74% of the time, respectively. But approaches combining chemistry and cell-based alternative methods have been shown to accurately predict human reactions up to 85% of the time. Another quote states, the notorious Dray skin irritation test in rabbits can only predict human skin reactions 60% of the time, but methods using reconstituted human skin are up to 86% accurate. And the last quote we have here, tests on animals to find out if chemicals or drugs may harm the developing baby can only detect 60% of dangerous substances, but a non-animal test using human stem cells has 93% sensitivity at detecting substances known to cause developmental problems. So as you could see from these three quotes, there is a significant difference in percentages of using humans as human testing instead of using animals for testing. We have a significantly higher rate of accuracy using humans instead of animals. A comment that may be used by people who do want to use animals for testing is that maybe there isn't humans that are willing to volunteer, but there is. There's actually often times that there is willing humans to volunteer. In order to allow human volunteers, there's advanced technologies to monitor and record techniques that are deemed safe to test on humans. We have things in place to test on animals, and we also have things in place to test on humans to make sure that everything goes well. Healthy human volunteers are given very small amounts, also referred to as microdoses of potential new drugs to see how they would interact with them. Cruelty Free International explains that most of the times these drugs are injected into the human volunteer and then measured using a device called an accelerator mass spectrometer. All studies done on humans have to be done with consent. Consent meaning that humans have to be willing to volunteer and want to be experimented on. On the other side, we also do have alternative testing that does not require any living thing at all. So we wouldn't need any type of animal and we wouldn't need human testing, which is another option that we could look at. As technology advances, there is no longer a need for animals to be used as subjects for testing. There's computer models that could be used as an alternative to both human and animal testing. Cruelty Free International featured computer models by explaining how computer models can replicate aspects of the human body. These models allow for virtual experiments based on data collected in existing databases. Here we have a quote. The quote states, "A recent research at the University of Oxford Department of Computer Science demonstrates that computational models representing human heart cells show higher accuracy, 89 to 96%, than animal models in predicting an adverse drug effect." So here again, showing higher accuracies when using other means rather than using testing on animals. Continuing on alternatives to testing that doesn't require living things. On the far left, we have a picture which was provided by Episkin of a reconstituted skin model. These models are more effective and can be used to replace skin irritation tests that are commonly done on rabbits. Like we mentioned before, how accurate human testing versus doing it on rabbits, the type of skin irritation test, we could also be using these things, called, these skin models, as another way to test that. Then in the middle picture, we have a picture provided by Wynn Institute. Wynn Institute at Harvard University explained this device, which is called a lung on a chip. They explained that this small device is lined with human lung cells. This was done so we could study lung disease and screen for drug tests using this chip instead of using an animal. And then all the way at the far right, you see this picture. And this is similar to the lung on a chip. It's just called a human on a chip. TIS Use provided this image and explained that this device is the size of a smartphone and could use cells from 4 different organs on one chip to mimic the human body. And this is yet another alternative to using animals for testing. So we would be able to use human on the chip or lung on the chip or skin models if we don't want to use humans for testing either.
Okay. And another reason to back this up is the Animal Welfare Act, which was passed in 1966, which required humane treatment to a variety of lab animals. However, this act only covers specific species and doesn't actually cover a majority of the animals being tested, so it mostly just provides a calming aspect to the public, whereas it doesn't actually do much in labs. The animals covered by the Act include dogs, cats, primates, and other mammals, but exclude birds, rats, and mice. It doesn't apply to these animals, which account for roughly 95% of the animals used in research. The types of animals covered by the AWA account for fewer than a million animals used in research facilities a year. We talked earlier about how roughly 110 million animals a year are used in animal testing, and if we're only covering less than a million, we're doing very little to actually protect these animals' rights and welfare. As it's apparent by these statistics, the Animal Welfare Act doesn't actually protect their rights almost at all, being more of a way just to soothe the public and protect what we classify more as cute animals rather than all of them.
Yes. This goes on with what I'll be talking about next, which is the demand for cruelty-free products. So as people have become more and more involved in the fight against animal testing, people demand more cruelty-free products or products that do not involve animal testing to produce. This can also include not having animals in the product themselves, or besides just having them being cruelty free. Aparna S stated in a LinkedIn article that growing awareness of consumers about the harmful effects of animal testing on the environment, the demand for cruelty-free cosmetics is increasing. Various laws are enacted to ensure that companies do not test their products on animals. A big influence that we have seen for current millennials is beauty bloggers and beauty influencers. There has been a rise in beauty influencers only promoting products that have the typical cruelty-free logo like the ones on the right. On the right bottom corner, you are able to see the three different logos. Um, Sometimes it depends based on where you're based. The one on the left for international, the middle one for USA, and then the one on the far right for Australia-based people. As we mentioned, the influencers, these influencers raise the demand and awareness to using makeup that is cruelty-free or vegan, that are vegan, so that not only do they not test in animals, but they are made with animals inside of them. And then here are some statistics showing the increase in vegan and cruelty-free products for the next few years to come. So as you're able to see, the global cruelty-free cosmetic market is expected to grow between the year 2020 and 2025, um, with Europe being one of the top leading markets, Europe and North America having the most leading markets for these types of cruelty-free products. But in all the statistics shown, it is shown that there is an increase of demand for these types of products. People don't want to use products that contain animals or are made with animals. They want vegan, cruelty-free products.
And just a couple more statistics for you guys. We know that animals have been an important part of research in the past when we were undeveloped and didn't have alternatives. But as you can see in this graph on the left here, over the years, the amount of animals used in testing has dropped almost in half. Whereas over the last several years, we can see life expectancy has increased, which I think can show that we've actually made more advancements in the medical field, the vaccine field, and our understanding of things like diseases and surgeries and healthy methods of creating cosmetics that don't cause damages to people have actually increased a lot. So combining these two graphs kind of shows the inverse relationship between development and animal testing and just kind of finalizes how unimportant it is for us. Just to conclude and wrap everything up, we've seen in nearly every slide that the benefits of discontinuing animal testing outweigh all of the downsides. It's been proven to be inhumane because of the poor conditions they subject them to, the discrimination among specific species being tested, and it's just simply too costly and unreliable. We know there's better alternatives that will not only save money but be more accurate in the long run, and removing animal testing may take a lot of time, but if we start soon, we can ensure a more progressive future in the medical and cosmetic fields.